Listen closely, because what I'm about to speak into your spirit is not ordinary, and it's not random. This is a prophetic moment that has been waiting for you. You didn't stumble into this message. You were drawn to it, pulled by something ancient, divine, and intentional. And here is the first shocking truth you need to hear. The delays you thought were destroying you were actually aligning you. You haven't been stuck. You've been positioned. You haven't been forgotten. You've been hidden. And the very places where you felt overlooked, left behind, or painfully slowed down, those were the exact locations where heaven was reconstructing the timeline of your destiny. Something in your life has been shifting quietly, almost invisibly. You felt it in small ways, in whispers, in subtle signs that made you pause and say, something is different. Something is coming. And you're right, because you are no longer standing in the season you once knew. You have crossed an invisible boundary, stepped through an unseen threshold, and entered a dimension of divine timing that has been waiting for years to open. This message is the confirmation of that crossing. There is a reason the pressure intensified before the shift. There is a reason the storm broke out right before peace began to form. There is a reason you felt spiritually restless, emotionally stretched, and suddenly more aware of your surroundings. It wasn't chaos. It was calibration. It wasn't delay. It was divine alignment. And right now, at this very moment, heaven is pulling back the curtain on a season that was long delayed, but never denied. You're stepping into divine timing after years of what felt like stagnation, silence, or confusion. This is why your spirit feels more alert. This is why your dreams have felt deeper, more symbolic, more intense. This is why certain people drifted away without explanation, and why others suddenly entered your life with purpose you don't yet understand. None of it is accidental. You are entering a doorway that only opens once the old timeline has finished its work in you. And the timing of heaven is precise. You're walking into a chapter that has been delayed but never canceled. And the very signs of that divine timing will begin to reveal themselves in unexpected ways, in subtle moments, in undeniable spiritual confirmations. And before this message ends, you will understand exactly why the delays happened, what they prepared you for, and how to recognize the unmistakable signs that you are stepping into the timing God ordained long before you felt ready. This is your moment. Let's go deeper. And as all of this begins to unfold around you, there's something you need to understand at a deeper, more spiritual level. These shifts, these inner stirrings, these sudden alignments, they aren't coming from you. They aren't the result of coincidence, luck, or random growth. This is God's hand, God's timing, God's orchestration moving with precision in your life. You're not just transitioning into a new season, you're being ushered into it. There are moments in your journey where heaven steps forward, where the divine interrupts the ordinary flow of life, and gently, sometimes forcefully, realigns you with the path that was written for you long before you ever took your first breath. This is one of those moments. And the reason you can feel it so deeply is because your spirit recognizes what your mind is only beginning to comprehend. You're not listening to this because you're curious. You're listening because your soul knows this is confirmation. The message is meeting you at the precise moment it was intended to. And that's not by chance. It's by design. Because God has been speaking in layers, through delays, that protected you, through closed doors, that preserved you, through silence, that refined you, through pressure, that reshaped you. And now the same God who held you still is the one releasing you forward. Heaven has been preparing this timing like a master craftsman carving a path that only you could walk. Not too early, not too late. Everything you endured, everything that felt slow or frustrating, everything that felt unanswered or unfinished. God was inside of it, shaping something within you that could only be formed in the waiting. And now the waiting has reached its turning point. There is a weight to this moment, a divine gravity, a sense that this message isn't just information, it's revelation. It's a whisper from the throne room, carried by the breath of God, arriving in your life at the exact second your spirit was ready to receive it. Because the truth is, divine timing isn't simply about what you're stepping into. It's about who you're stepping as. God never aligns a new season around an old version of you. There are parts of your character, your faith, your identity, your strength that needed to mature before heaven could release the next chapter. And even when you couldn't see growth happening, God was doing the quiet work, the deep work beneath the surface. That's why this moment feels sacred. That's why your heart feels stirred in ways you can't easily explain. That's why the atmosphere around you feels heavier, more intentional, more spiritually alive. Because God is not only speaking to you, He's positioning you. He's opening a path that only He could open. And only now. And as we move deeper into this message, you're going to begin recognizing the signs, subtle signs, spiritual signs, emotional signs that prove with absolute clarity that you're stepping into divine timing after years that felt delayed. These signs won't just inform you, they will awaken you. And when you see them, you'll realize the delays were never a detour. They were preparation for something far more precise, far more powerful, and far more destined than you imagined. And now that your spirit is settling into the weight of this moment, it's time to lift the veil from what has truly been happening behind the scenes of your life. Because divine timing isn't just a shift, it's a prophecy unfolding. And for years that prophecy has been maturing in silence. You have lived through a spiritual gestation period, a hidden season where the surface of your life looked still, but the undercurrent was moving with unimaginable precision. It didn't look like progress. It didn't feel like momentum. You didn't see results, breakthroughs, or open doors. But the lack of visible change fooled you because heaven was working underground. God was building something in layers, like a foundation, so deep that only time, pressure, and patience could reveal its strength. You may not have realized it, but every delay in your life was a deliberate act of divine strategy. God was withholding certain things not to punish you, but to protect the promise within you. There were assignments, environments, and relationships that would have crushed the destiny He placed inside of you if they had come too soon. This is why the prophecy had to wait. A promise released before its appointed time becomes a burden. A blessing given prematurely becomes a battle. A destiny activated too early becomes a danger. So instead of releasing you into visibility, God placed you in obscurity. Instead of accelerating your plans, He slowed your steps. Instead of answering your questions, He deepened your hunger. And instead of giving you the life you prayed for, exactly when you prayed for it, He gave you the strength, character, and discernment needed to carry what was coming. That is the nature of divine timing. God does not rush what He intends to last. But here is the prophetic truth unfolding. Now you have reached the moment where waiting transforms into walking, where delay turns into release, and where what felt withheld is now being delivered. The spiritual atmosphere around you has shifted. You may not have fully named it, but you felt it. A sense of movement, a restlessness that isn't anxiety, but awakening. A readiness you can't logically explain. A whisper that says, "It's time." That's not your imagination. That is the prophecy making its way from heaven into your reality. God is aligning things that once seemed scattered. He's connecting people you haven't even met yet, He's positioning opportunities that were previously out of reach. He's softening hearts, opening paths, and rearranging circumstances that were once unmovable. And the alignment is happening quickly, because when divine timing arrives, acceleration follows. What took years to prepare will begin manifesting in moments. What was delayed for a decade can shift in a day. What seemed impossible will suddenly feel inevitable. This is why your spirit feels alert, not anxious alert. It's sensing a movement orchestrated by God Himself. And the prophecy being unveiled over you in this season is not vague or distant. It's precise, personal, and purposeful. You are walking into a chapter where old battles lose power, old fears lose voice, old wounds lose control, old cycles lose authority. You are being released from timelines that no longer belong to you and stepping into the schedule heaven wrote with your name on it. This is not just a new season. This is not just a breakthrough. This is not just progress. This is divine timing. A moment when every delay is redeemed, every loss is reclaimed, every closed door makes sense, and every unanswered prayer reveals its purpose. And as the prophecy unfolds further, you will begin to see the divine fingerprints all over your story. You will realize that the path you thought was broken was actually being built. The silence you thought was abandonment was actually preparation. The waiting you thought was wasted was actually the womb of your next season. And soon the signs will appear, 12 unmistakable, undeniable, spiritually charged signs that you are walking into divine timing after years of delay. Signs that will not only confirm where you are, but reveal who you are becoming. And when they show up, they won't whisper. They'll speak loudly, they'll echo, they'll resonate. They'll awaken parts of you that were dormant and validate everything your spirit has been sensing. Because divine timing isn't subtle, it's sovereign, and you're stepping into it right now. If you look back over the years, the waiting, the confusion, the delays, you'll notice something profound. Nothing in your journey was random. Every pause, every slowdown, every closed door carried a spiritual purpose so deep that only now, standing at the edge of divine timing, can you begin to see its meaning. Because divine timing isn't just about when God releases you forward. It's about why He waited. You weren't delayed because you were unworthy. You weren't delayed because you were forgotten. You weren't delayed because life didn't favor you. You were delayed because God was aligning your destiny with heaven's blueprint, not human expectation. In Scripture, divine timing is always revealed through patterns. Joseph spent years in prisons and pits before stepping into power. David was anointed long before he was crowned. Moses spent decades in the wilderness before he ever faced Pharaoh. Even Jesus Himself waited until the fullness of time before beginning His assignment. Why? Because purpose requires preparation. The spiritual meaning of your delay is rooted in the very character of God. He does not release what isn't ready. He does not promote what isn't mature. He does not accelerate what hasn't been fortified. And He does not allow a chosen one to walk into a destiny that lacks the strength to sustain them. Your waiting season was not empty. It was sacred. You were being sharpened, stretched, and strengthened in ways you didn't always understand. The emotional battles you fought were building endurance. The spiritual tests you endured were forming discernment. The disappointments you faced were teaching you to hear God's voice above the noise. The isolation you felt was pulling you away from distractions that would have derailed you. God wasn't holding you back. He was holding you together. Because divine timing requires divine alignment, and alignment takes time. It takes healing from old wounds that would have sabotaged your future. It takes releasing relationships that were not equipped to grow with you. It takes dismantling mindsets that belong to the version of you that could never survive where you are going next. The deeper spiritual truth is this: delay is not the opposite of destiny. Delay is the shaping of destiny. And everything God allows carries meaning, even the things that made you question yourself. What you thought were obstacles were actually invitations to transformation. What you labeled as rejection was redirection. What you felt was punishment was protection. This is why the spiritual pressure intensified right before things began to shift. The closer you came to divine timing, the more you were required to shed. And shedding hurts. Letting go burns. Outgrowing people feels lonely. Expanding beyond old surroundings can feel like breaking. But spiritually, it was pruning, removing what could not survive your next level. The depth of this divine moment lies in this revelation. Had God released you earlier, you would have stepped into promise without the strength to carry it. Had He opened the doors sooner, you would have walked into blessings without the wisdom to steward them. Had He accelerated your path before time, you would have entered destiny without the maturity to protect it. So He waited until the healing was deep enough, until the transformation was complete enough, until your faith was rooted enough, until your identity was anchored enough. And now the waiting has fulfilled its purpose. The spiritual meaning has ripened. The delay has matured into destiny. Divine timing has arrived because you have become the version of yourself that heaven can trust. Soon you will not only recognize the depth of what God has done, you will begin to see the signs. Clear, compelling spiritual signs that reveal you are stepping into divine timing after years of delay. Signs that not only affirm your journey, but activate your future. As divine timing begins to unfold in your life, it rarely arrives quietly. Heaven leaves traces, spiritual fingerprints, clear signs that your long season of delay is transforming into movement, alignment, and fulfillment. These signs are not random. They are the markers of a destiny awakening. And if you listen closely, you'll recognize them not just around you, but within you. Here are the 12 prophetic signs that you're stepping into divine timing after years of delay. 1. Your spirit feels a sudden inner readiness you can't explain. It's not excitement. It's not fear. It's a deep, anchored knowing. You feel poised, aware, alert, as if something in you has clicked into place. You don't feel like who you were last month, last year, or last season. Something inside feels prepared, even if your circumstances haven't caught up yet. 2. Old desires are falling away and new ones are rising. Things you used to crave no longer appeal to you. And desires you never expected, goals, visions, callings, suddenly burn with clarity. This shift isn't emotional. It's spiritual direction reorienting your life. 3. Relationships that once fit no longer feel aligned. People who once made sense suddenly feel distant. Conversations feel different. Their energy doesn't match yours anymore. It's not rejection, it's elevation. Divine timing separates you from what can't go where you're going. 4. Unexpected opportunities begin appearing without effort. Doors open without forcing them. Messages come at the right moment. Someone mentions the exact thing you've been praying about. Divine timing doesn't require striving. It requires stepping. 5. Closed doors stop hurting the way they used to. You're not as devastated by the no's anymore. You feel a strange peace about things that didn't work out. That's because God has shifted your spirit from attachment to alignment. 6. You experience accelerated clarity after long confusion. Ideas flow. Vision sharpens. Your mind feels clearer, and decisions that once overwhelmed you now feel obvious. Confusion leaves when divine timing arrives. 7. You feel spiritual protection intensify. You may not see angels, but you sense them. You feel guarded, covered, insulated. Attacks lose their sting. What once broke you now barely shakes you. Heaven tightens its shield when you're close to stepping into purpose. 8. Signs and confirmations become frequent and almost impossible to ignore. Numbers, repeated themes, conversations, dreams. Everything starts aligning. You hear the same message from unrelated sources. It's not coincidence. It's divine signaling. Your patience increases in ways that surprise you. You sense that waiting is not wasted anymore. You're not anxious. You're not rushing. Something in you trusts the timing because your spirit recognizes that fulfillment is near. 10. You feel separated, but not lonely. It's a holy isolation. You're being pulled inward, not outward. God is removing noise so you can hear instruction. You feel held, not abandoned. You feel guided, not lost. 11. You begin releasing what once terrified you to let go of. Attachments break. Old versions of you fall away. You set boundaries without guilt. You stop trying to save places you've outgrown. Divine timing requires identity shedding. 12. You feel the atmosphere around your life changing. It's hard to describe, but everything feels different, like the shift in the air before a storm breaks. You sense anticipation, movement, divine momentum. Heaven feels closer. Destiny feels near. You feel watched over, guided, and prepared. These signs are not just symbolic, they're prophetic markers. When they appear, they reveal that your spirit, your circumstances, and heaven's timing have aligned in a way they never have before. You are walking into a chapter that was delayed not because you were unworthy, but because it needed the maturity and strength you carry now. Divine timing always announces itself through signs. Not loud, not chaotic, just persistent, undeniable whispers that confirm what your heart has already sensed. Your time is not coming. Your time has begun. And with these signs comes something many people misunderstand: the hidden challenges that accompany divine timing. Challenges that are not meant to discourage you, but to secure you. Because the moment divine timing opens, the spiritual environment around you shifts, and the pressure you feel is not opposition, it's activation. As divine timing begins to manifest in your life, something unexpected also rises: pressure. Not the pressure of failure, but the pressure of becoming. And many people misunderstand this. They think that when God finally opens the door, everything should feel easy, peaceful, effortless. But in truth, stepping into divine timing often intensifies the internal battle before it calms it. Because with elevation comes exposure, with timing comes testing, with awakening comes stretching. And these challenges are not evidence that you're off track. They're proof that you're stepping into alignment. Let's uncover the hidden struggles that appear right as divine timing begins to unfold. 1. You feel both excitement and fear at the same time. This emotional duality can feel confusing. You sense breakthrough, yet your mind tries to prepare for disappointment. This tension is not instability, it's transition. Your spirit is moving ahead, while your old self tries to keep up. 2. You experience unusual spiritual resistance. Not warfare meant to destroy you, but resistance meant to intimidate you. Whenever a chosen one begins stepping into divine timing, old patterns, old fears, and old voices attempt one last time to pull them back. The pressure increases right before the release. 3. You feel the urge to withdraw and go inward. You may desire more solitude, not out of sadness, but out of necessity. God is narrowing your focus. He's stripping away distractions so you can clearly hear the instructions attached to this next season. People around you may misunderstand your shift. They sense your growth but don't understand it. They feel your change but can't interpret it. Some may distance themselves. Others may question you. This isn't rejection, it's recalibration. Divine timing often requires relational pruning. 5. Old emotions resurface unexpectedly, not to torment you, but to be released once and for all. Sometimes God brings things back to the surface right before destiny so you can walk into the next chapter unburdened. 6. You may feel unqualified or unprepared. Even though your spirit says, go, your mind says, am I ready? This is normal. Every person God elevated in Scripture felt unprepared. Divine timing does not wait for perfect confidence, it ignites it. 7. Your faith may feel stretched in uncomfortable ways. God might ask for steps that require courage. He may lead you into deeper trust, not because He's testing your worth, but because He's building your capacity to sustain what He's giving you. 8. You sense a spiritual seriousness settling over your life. Not heaviness, sobriety, a recognition that what you're stepping into matters. You feel the weight of destiny. You feel heaven watching. You feel purpose becoming tangible. These hidden challenges are not setbacks. They are signs. They are spiritual contractions, pressure that signals birth. The discomfort you're experiencing is not a warning, it's confirmation. You're being stretched because the version of you stepping into divine timing cannot remain the version you've been. And the more intense these challenges feel, the closer you are to crossing the threshold. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is not overwhelming you. He is upgrading you. He is not testing your strength. He is revealing it. And this chapter doesn't just require awareness, it requires instruction. Because divine timing isn't something you watch passively. It's something you partner with. Which means there are prophetic steps God is calling you to take right now. Steps that ensure the timing you've waited years for becomes the breakthrough you walk into boldly. Now that the timing has shifted and the atmosphere around your life is opening, God isn't asking you to simply notice it. He's asking you to respond to it. Divine timing is a partnership. It's heaven preparing the moment and you preparing your movement. And in this season, there are instructions specifically designed for you. Instructions meant to anchor you, align you, and accelerate you into what has been delayed for so long. These are not generic steps. They are spiritual directives, tailored for the chosen, crafted for the prepared, whispered to those who have endured the long wait and have the maturity to carry what comes next. Here is what God is calling you to do as you enter divine timing. 1. Move with intention, not hesitation. When the timing shifts, God will give you nudges, opportunities, ideas, impulses, names that drop into your spirit. Don't second-guess them. Don't delay again. What once required waiting now requires action. Walk toward what God highlights, even if it feels small. 2. Release what God has already removed. There are people, places, habits, and identities that no longer align with your future. Stop trying to revive what God has retired. The weight you feel isn't from the journey ahead, it's from what you're not meant to carry anymore. 3. Guard your atmosphere fiercely. Not every voice deserves access. Not every opinion deserves influence. Not every energy deserves proximity. In divine timing, your atmosphere determines your altitude. Surround yourself with peace, purpose, and people who understand spiritual alignment. 4. Speak what God has shown you, not to everyone, but to yourself. Affirm what heaven is revealing. Declare what you sense. Speak destiny over your own life with authority. Your words create momentum in the spiritual realm. 5. Follow the whispers, not the noise. God rarely shouts. He guides through subtle impressions, quiet stirrings, intuitive nudges. Pay attention to the gentle pull. Your destiny is hidden inside the whisper, not the whirlwind. Prepare practically for what you've prayed for. If you've been asking for opportunity, prepare your skill. If you've been asking for connection, prepare your character. If you've been asking for breakthrough, prepare your discipline. Faith without preparation sends the wrong signal to heaven. 7. Honor your new identity. Step out of the version of you that lived in delay. Walk like the person who belongs in the future God is calling you into. Divine timing always requires identity agreement. Who you believe yourself to be must match who God is calling you to become. 8. Protect your focus like something sacred. Because it is. Distraction is the enemy of timing. Stay centered, stay present, stay aligned. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle needs your sword. Choose wisely. 9. Stay sensitive to the shifts. Timing unfolds in waves. Pay attention to the transitions, when to pause, when to move, when to wait, when to step. God will guide you step by step if you remain spiritually receptive. These instructions are more than guidance, they are activation. They are God's way of saying, "You're ready. Walk with me." And as you follow them, you'll begin to sense a divine covering settling over you, an assurance that the same God who guided you through years of delay is the same God walking you into fulfillment. Which brings us to the next truth you must hold close. Divine timing doesn't just come with direction, it comes with divine protection. As you step deeper into divine timing, something powerful begins to surround your life, an invisible shield, a holy covering, a tangible sense of protection that you may not have fully recognized yet. It's subtle yet undeniable. It's quiet yet unshakable. And it is God's way of assuring you that the same hand that carried you through the delay is the hand guiding you into destiny. Because when God releases you into timing, He also secures you within it. This is why certain battles that once overwhelmed you don't hit the same anymore. You've noticed it attacks that would have broken you in past seasons now feel strangely manageable. Situations that once stole your peace now lose their grip. Thoughts that once spiraled you into fear now dissolve faster than before. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual reinforcement. Heaven does not open a door without assigning angels to guard the threshold. And you can feel this shift in the smallest moments. You sense a calmness even when you can't predict what comes next. You feel grounded even when the path ahead isn't fully revealed. You feel watched over even when you're physically alone. This is divine assurance, God's way of whispering, "I'm with you in this." You're not stepping into this season unprotected. And because divine timing is sacred, God protects it fiercely. He protects you from people who would misuse your access. He protects you from opportunities that look good but lack alignment. He protects you from spiritual attacks meant to distract or derail you. He protects your mind, your peace, your vision, and your momentum. Some of the losses that confused you were actually divine rescue missions. Some of the delays were shields, not setbacks. Some of the endings were barriers God placed so you would not wander off the path He was preparing. And now in this new season, the protection becomes more noticeable. You'll feel it in ways you can't fully articulate, like walking with a new confidence you didn't have before. Like waking up with a peace that doesn't make sense. Like sensing that you're no longer fighting alone. Because you're not. God has gone ahead of you to prepare the way. God walks beside you to steady your steps. God stands behind you to guard what you've left behind. God surrounds you on all sides to ensure nothing delays you again. And this protection is not just for comfort, it's for purpose. You're stepping into something weighty, something destined, something long prepared. And heaven is committed to seeing you fulfill it. Which leads us into what comes next, not just protection, but transformation. The moment when divine timing doesn't just align your journey, but reshapes your entire identity. As divine timing fully settles into your life, something extraordinary begins to unfold, not just around you, but within you. Because when God opens a season you've waited years to enter, He doesn't simply adjust your circumstances. He transforms your identity. Divine timing is never just about the fulfillment of a promise. It's about the becoming of a person. And this transformation is not subtle. You will begin to notice a version of yourself emerging that you haven't seen before, a stronger you, a clearer you, a wiser you, a more spiritually awakened you. The years of delay weren't wasted. They were molding you into this very expression of purpose. This is what happens when divine timing and divine identity collide. 1. You step into a confidence that feels supernatural. Not arrogance, not pride, just a steady sense of, I know who walks with me. You won't second-guess your worth the way you once did. You won't shrink to make others comfortable. You'll move with a calm authority because you finally recognize who you are and what you carry. 2. Your discernment sharpens dramatically. Suddenly you can sense intentions, see through distractions, and identify opportunities with clarity that used to escape you. You won't tolerate confusion. You won't overlook red flags. You won't settle for misaligned paths. Divine timing refines your spiritual vision. 3. Your standards rise effortlessly. Not because you're becoming harder to please, but because your spirit refuses to return to the lesser version of life you endured before. You accept only what aligns with destiny, not what aligns with desperation. 4. Your purpose becomes undeniable. Things you once ignored now demand your attention. Gifts you buried now resurface. Ideas you postponed now burn with urgency. You don't just sense purpose, you embody it. You become the very vessel heaven prepared through every season of delay. 5. Opportunities meet you differently. Instead of chasing, you attract. Instead of forcing, you flow. Instead of striving, you step. What I once felt impossible becomes accessible, not because circumstances changed, but because you changed. 6. You begin walking in alignment with heaven's rhythm. Your steps feel guided. Your decisions feel divinely inspired. Synchronicities appear, doors open with precision. Everything just fits. You move like someone who finally understands the choreography of their destiny. And then, fulfillment arrives. Not all at once, not in a dramatic explosion, but like dawn breaking, first a soft glow, then increasing warmth, then undeniable light. The promises God whispered in the darkness begin revealing themselves in the daylight of your new season. Relationships improve, opportunities expand, inner peace stabilizes. Purpose becomes practical. Breakthrough becomes normal. And the transformation becomes visible not just to you, but to others. People who once underestimated you will see the shift. Those who doubted you will notice the elevation. Those who counted you out will witness the comeback. But their reactions are not the focus your becoming is. Because divine timing doesn't just open doors, it opens destiny. It ushers you into the season where the years of delay finally make sense. Where every tear becomes a seed. Where every waiting season becomes wisdom. Where every not yet becomes a divine now. And as you embrace this transformation, there is one final step, one final seal to this prophetic message, a closing blessing that anchors everything you've heard, everything you've felt, and everything you are stepping into. As this prophetic message comes to its completion, let these final words settle deeply into your spirit. You have walked through years of waiting, years of pruning, years of stretching, and years of silent preparation. But now you stand at the edge of fulfillment. Heaven has shifted. The atmosphere around you has changed. And you are stepping into a season that your soul has long recognized, but your eyes are only now beginning to see. So receive these affirmations not as hopeful thoughts, but as declarations spoken over your destiny. You are stepping into divine timing with clarity. You are leaving behind every version of yourself that belonged to delay. You are walking into alignment, prepared, strengthened, and spiritually awakened. You are protected on every side as you move forward. You are worthy of the opportunities opening before you. You are equipped for the doors God is leading you through. You are ready for the promises that once felt distant. You are rising into the future heaven designed uniquely for you. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been lost. Nothing has been denied. Every delay becomes testimony. Every setback becomes foundation. Every unanswered prayer becomes revelation. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where God needs you to be for what comes next. So step boldly. Step confidently. Step with the knowing that divine timing has aligned itself with your life. You are moving in rhythm with heaven. You are walking under open favor. You are advancing with spiritual authority. And now, as a final blessing, may your steps be ordered with precision. May your mind be steady and your heart be fearless. May clarity find you quickly. May purpose find you daily. May every necessary door open without struggle. May angelic protection surround your path. May peace anchor your spirit. May strength rise within you when you waver. May guidance come without confusion. And may the fulfillment of every delayed promise unfold before you in divine sequence and divine timing. If this message spoke to you, if something in your spirit felt seen, aligned, or awakened, let me know in the comments. Share which part resonated most deeply. And if you want more prophetic messages like this, don't forget to subscribe, like, and stay connected. Your time is no longer approaching. Your time has arrived.